Good day, I'm Dr. Aishwarya, and before I start, many of you might be wondering whom this lecture series is for. I am a postgraduate medical student in physiology, but this lecture series or any of my lecture series does not only pertain to medical students or doctors. It is for the general public also. So at least for this lecture, you might not need a previous sort of hi-fi medical knowledge, nor I'll be using excessive medical jargon. So sit back, relax, because this is a topic which concerns most. And can you guess who this person is? And what is there in his physiology that is different than the rest of us, or at least most of us? Okay, so as you can see from the slide, he reversed his biological age by 10 years and stunned his club coaches. That is by almost 10 years. What happened to him? So what happened is that his coaches ran a series of tests, and in which they found out that his biological age didn't match up to his tests. And they found out that Ronaldo, being 33 years old, had the physical condition of a 22-year-old. And he's not one of those who goes out late at nights and drinks. And he treats his body like as if it was a Ferrari, right? And he has an age-defying routine, which doesn't sound very fancy, but look at what his body weight is. He has a remarkable 7% body fat and a muscle mass that's half his body weight. How amazing is that? And it is achieved by a strict high protein, low fat diet, which he divides into 6 smaller meals throughout the day. So he took care of his body that well that he reversed his age by a decade. And these are not just aesthetics that I'm talking about. He actually did it. I thought a lot about putting this picture. By the way, this is my very beautiful and playful cat, Cleo, and he'll be appearing a lot. He is almost the star of the show. Okay? So coming back, I thought of putting a celebrity's picture, but I didn't see why. I didn't see why I should put a celebrity's picture when a very good real life example is in front of me. That is my mom, who beat cancer like a freaking boss, and she's now aging. She's 61, doesn't look like it, but she is aging very gracefully. And I didn't seem that I would put a celebrity's picture or a famous person's picture if my mom is there in front of my eyes, if a very good real life example, which we can all see, is in front of me. So that was good. So I guess we all know what the topic is. The topic is aging, understanding how and why we age. So the contents of this presentation will start with introduction, then we'll go a bit about characteristics of aging, then theories of aging, molecular, chemical and systemic changes, oxidative stress and management. So before we just randomly tell people that they're old, but let's just have a bit of refined definition. Aging can be defined as the sum total of all the changes that occur in living organism with passage of time that leads to functional impairment due to various biochemical, structural and physiological changes in most of the organs, and this increases susceptibility of the individual to age-related diseases. I know this is too much of a complicated definition, but we will understand as the lecture goes by. A very classical question: we cannot say someone with a gray hair is old, someone who has wrinkles is definitely old. No, we need to be more specific and we need to be more objective in classifying people as old. So WHO is World Health Organization. I know many of you would wonder why is she writing that, but as I said, my lectures are not just for medical students and not just for doctor. It is for the common man also, and I know it's only in English, but over time I'll improve myself and I'll put these lectures in as many languages as I can to reach maximum audience. Okay, so 60 to 74 years of age is classified as elderly, more than 75 is old, more than 90 is very old. By 30, we see subtle signs of aging, subtle wrinkles, okay? And by 40, we need to think about prevention of aging. By prevention, I'm not advocating go get a plastic surgery. By prevention, I mean more like management. In most, if there are any medical students watching, a lot of you are interested in medicine and you don't know much about what is beyond just medicine, MD medicine or surgery. I want all of you to know that there are fields which are coming, which are unique, and you do not have to go with the crowd always. Not everything is surgery, even though with all due respect to these fields, and not everything is just medicine. So there's a separate branch that has come up known as geriatric medicine, which pertains to care for the elderly. Yes, care for the elderly. And I urge all of you to look beyond the traditional specialization fields and do something unique. Okay, so the characteristics of aging are that they are natural, universal, intrinsic, progressive, continuous, and irreversible, as if for now, deleterious, differential, associated with structural and functional changes, and moreover, rate and extent do not follow any set pattern. We see some people aging very gracefully, like my mom, and we see some people not aging very gracefully, like me. I attribute all this to my stress and coffee, right? So it is natural. What do you mean by natural? If I take anyone in a closed room, if me and my cat are introverts, and even if you put us in a room and you close us and you give all the nutritional requirements and good oxygen, we will still age. We will still age. We might not go under oxidative stress, we might not age as other people are aging, but it is inevitable for us. We will age. It is intrinsic, it is inbuilt in our cells, and it is progressive, continuous. Deleterious means it is harmful, and it is differential, that we'll come to organ changes in organs later. And they are associated with specific structural and functional changes, right? And they follow no set pattern. What do you mean by theory? We'll just take a minute of what theory is. I asked this question in my class and I received blank faces, sorry. A theory is any concept or a set of ideas that attempt to explain anything, right? Any concept, be it a concept or be it ideas, or explain any phenomenon. A concept or a set of ideas that attempt to explain any naturally occurring phenomenon or any phenomenon. So what do we infer by this? That aging is so mysterious, clear? Aging is so mysterious that even we can't attempt to explain just by one single theory. That is why we need multiple theories of aging to explain a very simple, naturally occurring phenomenon. So the theories are divided into two parts: cumulative results of all random cell damage which goes on throughout life, and those which consider aging to be the inevitable result of our genetic program. There are two types of aging. One which assume that, again, even if we are in a closed door, it is inevitable. It is a cumulative result of all the cell damage. In Delhi, there's a lot of pollution. More damage is being caused to our cells, so we might be aging rapidly. Similarly, some theory says that it is inevitable. It is either fast or it is either slow. We will go more in detail about this. So one such theory is programmed senescence theory. Let's break the word down. Programmed means it is already decided. Senescence means age, old age. right? So this says that aging follows a biological timetable, perhaps a continuation or one that regulates growth and development. This is known as biological clock. No matter what you do, the clock is ticking, right? For some people, it might bring relief. For people like me, it might bring relief, but for some people, it might make them more anxious. So this says that there's segmental on and off of certain genes, and for example, Hayflick's limit. So Hayflick was a person, he removed fibroblasts from umbilical cord and he allowed them to multiply. He must be thinking, I'm giving all the nutrition, I'm giving all the optimal temperature, everything. But sadly, he noticed that there were only maximum 50 divisions, beyond which they couldn't multiply. So they had reached their own potential. They had reached. A question for you. This is due to shortening of which gene segment? Okay. Second is mutation theory. Mutation retard long-term survival. Mutation pile up in the genes and are transmitted from generations to generation. Body thinks, why am I interested in accumulating mutations after mutations? Let's just flush it out. I know, a bit cruel, but that's what happens. This is known as X-ray radiation. This is a very famous case. A question for you. This very sad tragedy happened due to leak of which gas and in which place? People still struggle till this day. Many of us know about this event. Many of us know about the Bhopal gas tragedy, but we think that, okay, some leak happened and then we're all fine now. This happened many years back, but effects might be over. It isn't over. It is something that occurred in the past and it's all done and dusted. But no, the survivors still protest today, and Bhopal, the disaster in India, continues after 40 years. A University of California showed how exposure to the gas increases the chance of cancer, even those who were still in the womb at the time of the accident. So dangerous gas leaks, X-ray, radiation, man-made disasters, they are not just one event occurring type of thing. Their effects continue till years and years later on. The children, their offsprings, the offsprings of the people who suffered from this tragedy still continue to have lymphomas and leukemias and many other things, right? The data has not been completed yet, but the result shows that cases of cancer, paralysis and tuberculosis increased. Not only those who were affected by the toxic cloud, but those who routinely made use of local water resources. So it affected everyone, and it still continues to affect people of India today. What is pleiotropic antagonism? Again, let's always break the words down. If we see a medical jargon, we don't get tensed. We break it down into simpler pieces and we understand it. Pleo means different. Antagonism means opposing any two things, opposing the action of another. So one gene having multiple effects, one good and one bad. For example, testosterone aids in reproduction early and causes prostate cancer later in life. So genes that get naturally selected early on in life, as they help in reproduction, even though they might cause harm later. The body thinks that even though we the human race likes to portray themselves as this kind of sophisticated being, but our body says, but we are not. In some ways, we are not. Our body says that, hey, I need testosterone for reproduction. I do not care much if a lot of testosterone might cause prostate cancer later on in life. I really don't. My main aim is reproduction. But yeah, but you know what? As I said, theories of aging. No particular theory can explain aging as of now. What is ecological theory? I always ask this question to my medical students, and they always shy away or laugh. But but I hope that this audience is bold enough to think about this. What do you find in your life partner? Let's just take a second to think. What would you like? What are the qualities that you would like your life partner to have, be it girlfriend, boyfriend, wife, husband? I asked this in my class, and one girl very shyly and to her friend said paisa. No, paisa in Hindi. Paisa means money. And I asked them, okay, I heard you. They were blushing, but I heard them. And then I asked them, why paisa? Why money? Money helps us to get most of the resources in life. What happens if we get most of the resources in life? We can give our offspring a better chance of survival, a better chance of moving forward in life, a better chance of succeeding, right? So ecological means the environment which we live in. We always you might have heard a few of your friends, I will settle down when I earn this and this amount of money. I will settle down when I complete my education. I will settle down when I shift to a different country. So all of this tells us that we want to make our environment as safe as possible, as good as possible, to give better chance to our future offsprings. Even though if two people decide not to get children, they still want their relationship to work, and for their relationship to work, a comfortable lifestyle gives them a better chance. It gives them a better chance. It gives a better chance for the relationship to succeed, right? So this is Virginia opossum. If she doesn't find good food, warmth, she will not produce litter. Litter is the amount of babies. But if she found a nice and comfortable place to live in, see how many babies, right? So she felt comfortable enough to give birth in a warm environment, in an environment where she gets all the food. Many of you might have seen, in fact, in my home, recently a cat came. She might be pregnant, and she, as what I heard, she ransacked my room, and most likely she might be pregnant, and she might be looking for a very warm and comfortable place to live in and give birth. So coming to the next set of theory, these are known as random damage theory. There is a loss of balance between ongoing repair and damage, the distance of which goes on increasing over time. So when we are young, you might have noticed when you were young, you were more adaptable. If anything happened, your bruises, if you fall down, you might recover faster. But in old age, there's a meme that is going around that even I'm 30 and I have back pain. I'm 30 and I can't do the things that I used to do. I already feel old. So this is the loss. As we grow older, we get less resilient to repair damage. So cell replication theory suggests that aging may represent a stage of life when the replication of cells ceases, when repair is not capable to cope up with the damage due to arrest of the cell cycle at the G1S phase. This, again, a very popular theory. This is linked to the length of telomeric DNA. With each division, roughly 50 of the total 2000 base pairs are lost, and thus telomeric shortening might result in the loss of gene accessibility. Right? Telomeres are repetitive DNA sequences which are there at the end of the DNA strands. Cross-linking, non-enzymatic glycosylation or glycation. So what happens is glucose molecules attach themselves to proteins, setting a motion of chain of chemical reactions that ends in the protein binding together, cross-linking, and thus altering their biological and structural roles. This will produce something known as AGEs, advanced glycosylation end products, seem to toughen tissues and may cause some of the deterioration associated with aging. It has been linked to stiffening of the connective tissue, collagen, hardened arteries, clouded eyes, and loss of nerve function. So what happens is, that is why, maybe that is the reason why as we get older, especially when I told about 40 years of age, we need to reduce our calorie intake. I think this is because of that, where if we have excess of glucose and if we have excess of a glucose spike, all these extra glucose will go to the proteins. Proteins are known as the building blocks, and they will alter their structure. They will cause cross-linking of these proteins, and these metabolites are not very good for our body, so they end up attacking other cells. These are known as advanced glycosylation end products. So now we come to molecular and cellular changes. So there is loss of number of cells, as I said, body proteins, DNA, potassium, altered membrane permeability, body water, and energy reserves in the cell. So this is what is happening somewhat at a molecular level. And there is excess of abnormal proteins excretory products, exogenous precipitate, autoantibodies, and free radicals. One example of this, abnormal proteins can be alpha amyloid. Excretory products could be excess of urea, autoantibodies, for example, rheumatoid factor. Free radicals is a very hot topic, and I'll discuss it later. An example of this would be this. This is the normal X-ray of the ankle, and this is what is known as calcanean spur. It is an exogenous precipitate, and the patient complains of excruciating pain while walking. So this is one of the signs where an exogenous precipitate can come, and this is known as calcanean spur. Spur meaning extra growth of bone. Growth of bone which should not be there in the first place. Okay, systemic changes. We went to molecular changes. Now we'll go a little about systemic changes. What is this? This is because loss of elasticity in the skin over time, and collagen. That is why collagen supplements are very, very common. This is one such. Arteries become hardened. This table is taken from a book known as Indu Khurana book of it's a book of physiology, and I need not go over each and every system, and you can look it up in the book. So I'll just go with one or two systems, although you should know each and every system. So let's take general system first. There's increased fat mass of the body and decreased body water content as we age. So what are the effects that it will cause? Proneness for atherosclerotic diseases, and obviously susceptibility to rapid dehydration, which is obviously not good for us. Let's go to GI system next. There's decreased hepatic function, which will impair metabolism, which will impair digestion. Decreased colonic motility will obviously cause constipation. Hematological, decreased bone marrow activity can cause anemia. What about eyes and ears? There's opacification of lens, which might obviously cause decreased vision. Decreased sound conduction, which will cause decreased audition, right? So almost decrease, impairment in function, as I told you earlier. Coming to a very important part, and as something which is getting popular these days, known as oxidative stress. It is an imbalance of free radical. So let's just first understand what is a free radical and an antioxidant. Medical students need to pay attention to this part because this is very important from an exam point of view also. So free radicals are molecules with only one electron in outer orbit, and the people who don't have a girlfriend or a boyfriend or partner, or even those people who don't have a friend with them, they don't have a companion with them, they always look for their better half. This is not just for romantic relationship. We always crave connection. So the free radical always crave connection. He is not happy with its unpaired electron in its orbit, so it disturbs other cells, like Leo is disturbing me now. The free radical disturbs other cells and steals electrons from them and cause cellular injury, right? Question for you, a very interesting one. Are free radicals pathological or physiological, or both? Pathological means pertaining to a disease. Physiological means are they generated normally in our body, or both? The answer is both. They are generated normally in our body, and our body has the capacity to flush it out. But when it doesn't, that's when the problem begins. As we age, the amount of free radicals in our body goes on increasing, right? So imagine this is a plate, This is a plate, and this contains two electrons, two weights, right? Imagine this as an electron, imagine the plate as an electron, and the weights are imagine the plate as a cell and the weights as electrons, and this is counterbalanced by a weight. And there are many such plates like this in our body, have balance by weight. Everything is harmonious and is in equilibrium, everything is functioning normally. What happens if I take it out? The weight becomes unstable and reactive and goes on hitting. It is very reactive, so it might go hit other plates and again cause injury to other plates. What if I have many plates who have a lot of weights for them, a lot of weights in them, which can afford to donate one plate to them, which can afford to donate to the plate which is causing all the trouble? My problem is solved, right? So imagine that's the relationship between free radicals and antioxidants. Free radicals are this unstable compound. They don't have a paired electron. Since they don't have a pair of electrons, they start attacking other cells in our body and they start causing damage in order to receive these, in order to pair their unpaired electrons. But that's when antioxidants come to the rescue. Antioxidants tend to stabilize the free radical by donating their electrons, by donating an electrons to the free radical and help stabilizing them. Let's go more into detail. So when a molecular oxygen in tissue is univalently reduced, it produces a superoxide radical. This is because molecular oxygen is paramagnetic and contains two unpaired electrons that reside in separate orbitals. When oxygen molecules takes up one electron by universal reduction, it becomes a superoxide ion. This superoxide ion is highly reactive and toxic to cell membranes. When the oxygen is univalently reduced, so it produces a superoxide ion, right? It takes up only one electron. You need two electrons, but it takes up only one. There is no pair. It becomes a superoxide anion, and this superoxide anion is a free radical. It is highly reactive and toxic to cell membranes. Superoxide anion then goes on to do further damage. It captures other electrons to form a hydrogen peroxide, which is also harmful. Hydrogen peroxide further reacts with superoxide anion, again in presence of ferrous ions, to form hydroxyl radical and a singlet oxygen, right? This reaction is a very famous reaction known as Haber reaction or Haber-Wentz-Penton reaction. You see a superoxide anion here that is reacting with H2O2, hydrogen peroxide, in the presence of ferrous ion to form hydroxyl radical, which is again very harmful to our body. Now an antioxidant will come to rescue. This is known as ceruloplasmin. Ceruloplasmin acts as a ferroxidase. It converts ferrous ion to ferric ion. Therefore, in the presence of ferrous ion, hydroxyl radical cannot be formed. Thus, it halts the Haber reaction that prevents the formation of highly reactive free radical. Hence, ceruloplasmin serves as an antioxidant. Ceruloplasmin will take out this ferrous ion and convert it into ferric ions. So, it will just stop the Haber reaction or Haber-Weinstein reaction. So, this is a classical example of antioxidant and free radicals coming into play. These are some of the popular examples of a free radical. Superoxide ion, hydrogen peroxide, and moreover hydroxyl radical are some of the few examples of free radicals. Another one more example, superoxide dismutase is present in both cytosol and mitochondria. It destroys the singlet oxygen and converts it into H2O2. H2O2 in the presence of H2O converts and neutralizes this H2 H2O2. Catalyze destroys this H2O2, right? And it neutralizes it, so H2O2 cannot further form hydroxyl radical. So superoxide dismutase is a very good example of just clearing out H2O2 so that it cannot react further. It cannot go into the Haber's reaction. So that is one such good example. As I said, free radical, reactive oxygen species, and antioxidant. So this is a good example, stable atom with all electrons paired, right? Now we form a free radical, ek chala gaya, an unstable atom with an unpaired electron. Now it is becoming what? Unstable. And this instability can cause damage and cellular injury. But wait, an antioxidant comes to our rescue. Antioxidant donates an electron to free radical. Thus calming everything down. All electrons paired. Suppose if these antioxidants are not there, as we age, the number of free radicals grow more in our body. That is why, blueberries, broccoli, in the recent years, they have gained a lot of popularity because they contain antioxidants. So what if there are no antioxidants to save us? When फिर बाकी सारी सेल्स की बैंड बजेगी, यही होगा. So lipid peroxidation. So there is oxidative degeneration of lipids. Free radicals will not stop. वो नहीं रुकेगा, उसे कुछ ना कुछ तो चाहिए, किसी ना किसी को तो वो मारेगा, पीटेगा और अपना electrons ले लेगा. So a free radicals with unpaired electrons takes away hydrogen from methylene group of polyunsaturated fatty acid and converts it into free fatty acid radical. This radicals bind to O2 to give fatty acid peroxy radical, which changes to acid hydroperoxide, a toxic agent. To say it simply, our cells are made up of lipids, phospholipid bilayer membrane. The free radicals penetrate that. The free radicals cause a very intricate chain of reactions in our fatty acid, the membrane lining our cells, and they produce a radical. This radical again cause further damage. Let's go more into detail. Free radical theory of human aging. There's a free radical, it has a lost electron. This goes and causes lipid peroxidation. By a series of chemical reaction, it produces a very toxic reagent, a fatty acid hyperperoxide. This causes DNA damage and mutation, protein damage, mitochondrial damage, right? Evidence for the free radical theory of aging includes proven damage to DNA, lipids, proteins, noted increase in abnormal mitochondria with age, acceleration of age with ionizing radiation, right? So if an antioxidant is not there to save us, if there is an imbalance between radicals and antioxidants, the free radical will not stop. It will go attack the cell, penetrate the cell, causes a fatty acid superoxide radical that will penetrate the cell, cause mitochondrial damage, goes to the DNA and then damages it, and also cause protein damage. So the damage is happening at depth. It is not just surface damage. It is going at the molecular level and attacking our DNA also, right? So I said management. What I don't mean is prevention of aging. I do not advocate for prevention. I advocate for management. Let's see. Yes. So it's very easy to say reduce stress, but one thing which has helped me in life is to concentrate on things that actually matter. We tend to have clutters in our life, to-do list, this, that, and that piles up and piles up. So we can make an effort to reduce as much as stress as we would like to. Things like yoga and meditation do help. People, when someone says this, people get bored that this is just said, but I think I am a little bit of an example how improving lifestyle can benefit people. So yoga, meditation, even strength training can improve our mental health. We all know what are endorphins. What are endorphins? A homework question. Eating and indulging in a while is good, but eating healthy foods are always advocated more. Things like broccoli, avocados, blueberries, almonds contain antioxidants. But I also understand these things are costly. What will you tell the common man or a woman? So, Indian foods like turmeric or cinnamon or nuts, dal, uh, even green chilies, spinach, all have oats, not oats, maybe, but green chili, spinach, all of that have pomegranate. They have it is said that if you can't afford blueberries, uh, it can be quite costly. You can always go for pomegranate. So that is good. Ginger, all these are good sources of antibiotics. You need not be very rich to eat a diet which is high in antioxidants. As I've always said, prevention. Prevention I don't advocate. I advocate management. We all concentrate on the aesthetics, reducing our wrinkles, Botox, this, that. I would like to say that I don't judge people. So if someone has some kind of surgery, some kind of filler that gives them confidence and boosts them, I will not, I am not very critical of it. But मैं क्वेश्चन पूछती हूँ, आज नाक अच्छी लगेगी, आज नाक नहीं अच्छी लगेगी, कल आँख नहीं अच्छी लगेगी, फिर कल होठ नहीं अच्छे लगेंगे, फिर कल चिन नहीं अच्छा लगेगा, फिर जॉ नहीं अच्छा लगेगा, फिर बाल नहीं अच्छे लगेंगे. If you have a poor self image of yourself, no one surgery, no one Botox filler can satisfy you. So let's just keep that in mind and move forward. Wrinkles are a normal part of aging. This is an example where aging can go into extremes, right? So in my opinion, if you start to get one filler, you will always go to the next one. And if you have a poor self-image of yourself, nothing, no cosmetic procedure in the world can make you happy. This is there in, especially in youngsters, this is a phenomenon known as Snapchat dysmorphia. Earlier, we used to look up to celebrities and say and think that, wow, everybody wanted to get eyes like some celebrity, nose like some celebrity. But social media apps have these things called filters, which make us show the best possible version of ourselves. If I put a filter, it will show me the best possible version of myself, that is without any pimples or acne scars. Well, many youngsters get influenced by this. They do not want to look like a celebrity now. They want to look like their filter, which shows the best possible version of themselves. There's an actual documentary in YouTube. I got surgery to look like a Snapchat filter. 3 ladies did this surgery, which made them look like their filters. That filter was their goal. The aim in life, and I know this is a lot of my personal opinion, people can say, but the aim in life is not to be somewhere here or here. The aim in life should be somewhere here. Maybe that is the goal. This, you can take or leave this advice, but in my opinion, this is what we should all aim for. I don't need to explain this image. I feel it is self-explanatory. So Ikigai was a book, and to not go details about in this book, people, a group of researchers studied people living in blue zones. There's a village in Japan, and there are a few places in Caribbean, which, when they studied these places, they found out that these places had more population of people living up to 100 years of age, and even more than that. And people got very curious as to the diet they were following, and they found out that these people had really good social bonding between each other. And apart from many things, if you're interested, you can read this book, and there are a few other books that tells us about the people living in blue zones, and there are a few documentaries also on this. So ikigai, this is a Japanese concept which shows that there is a fine balance about what we are good at, our passion, mission, what the world needs, our profession and vocation. I know it is better said than done, but I think if we find a balance between this, our lives could be much better. So uh, this is a Japanese concept, and it's not just this. They followed the diet of Japanese people too, and they found out there was a lot of healthy probiotics and green teas and all of that. Green teas, again, antioxidants. So, what is the future of aging? We are going into anti-aging research. There's a gene known as, everybody knows about telomeres, but there's a gene called FOXO3, and it has been shown to increase longevity. And calorie restriction above the age of 40 years or 40 years has been shown to, as you can remember, reduce the N-glycosylation products. Artificial organs and regenerative medicine are going to be the future. Stem cells and 3D printed organs could obviously extend lifespan and improve quality of life. I asked all these questions to my medical students, but since there was no marks involved, since it is not a question which is good for their exams, no one answered it. But a question for all of you, it doesn't have any word limit. The question is, if we extend lifespan, how will it impact society, healthcare and resources? You can email this answer to me. There is no marks, unfortunately, but I would just like to know your opinion. And as a medical student, as doctors, and even as general public, we need to understand, we need to think in all ways how it impacts society, how it impacts health, resources,